What's up everybody, Emperor John Kill 3D Gaming here with another video, and I'm here to talk to you about what's apparently deemed to be the most expensive and rarest PS4 game, and that is Godzilla, back in 2015. And you know what was funny? I didn't think nothing of it when I got the game. Granted, I know a lot of people don't like the game, and it's seen now as a hidden gem to Godzilla and Kaiju fans, but going back on it now, and you can believe it or not, I haven't touched this game since around 2015, 2016. The recent Godzilla X Kong reinvigorated my interest to go back and believe, you know, I could believe that maybe, was this game really as bad as people said it was? Well, I mean, gaming critics don't know how to review the way out of a wet paper bag. That's why you always got to look to a fan's perspective, especially if it's something that you know more lore about. Like I always say, if a fan that knows more about the game, the franchise, the series, in and out, lore-wise, combat-wise, control, what makes their series tick, I'm going to listen to them 9 times out of 10. Because if I listen to a critic, it's going to be like, well, why didn't you give us a woke game? It's a fucking kaiju game. What do you want, Godzilla to come out and this whole time he was a woman? Or he was a he-bitch? Or trying to say Godzilla was a trans monkey? That's besides the point. Anyway, Godzilla on the PS4, I've played it a bunch recently, and yes, to the average video gamer who is not a fan or did not grow up with the Godzilla series, yes, this game is not good to any of you, and I get that. This is one of those cases where this is a game that is not made for everybody. It falls in that same line of the Evil Dead games, or what was the other series? Blah 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 blah. Like Dragon Ball Z, like the Marvel games, like a series of games that is made for a specific audience that everyone else hates, but clearly that audience, it's made for them. So it really comes into account that, is it really bad, or is it really just bad to those who suffer skill issues or people that just aren't good at video games? Now, what's the main premise of this game, you might ask? Well, you play as Godzilla, or any of the Godzilla's monsters, foes, whatever you want to call them. Every single character from the original classic Godzilla series, even the Godzilla from the legendary Pixars, is in this game. His 2014 version, when he was first brought back to the big screen. The concept of this game is you just go through an arcade-style ladder game with random battles against different foes from Godzilla. Get Godzilla bigger by destroying arena cities. Like, you don't destroy whole cities. And now this is where I understand the criticism. You don't destroy a whole open world city. You destroyed locked off areas. But the thing about it, when you go back to the old Godzilla games, such as like Super Godzilla from the NES, or Godzilla Destroy All Monsters, or Destroy All Monsters Melee, or Godzilla Unleashed, Godzilla Save the Earth, all those kind of games, you're not fighting in a whole open world city. You're fighting off in a locked off area. So this shouldn't be something new or surprising. I get it. People just want open worlds added to everything, even to games that it doesn't make sense. But for a game like Godzilla, from the opening moments, it takes you back to like the very first Godzilla film. It's filtered in black and white, and it teaches you the premise of the controls that you will be going through each encounter for as many times as you want to play the game. Now, the only thing I won't be able to talk about is obviously the multiplayer, because that's dead, and I don't have any other, like, none of my friends have this game, so I can't play with them. But from what I remember, multiplayer was completely unbalanced, and it wasn't split screen co-op, or it wasn't split screen versus or single screen versus. No, it was online only versus. So that was a bummer. That is a huge bummer. But Godzilla in this game controls very much how you would expect Godzilla to control. He feels like a giant tank. like a giant tankly beast. Now, the controls are the same for every kaiju in this game, but the difference is they attack different, they have a different attack pattern, different specials, different ultimate abilities, things like that that are very much different. But the one thing I think the game does get right is what it feels like to be Godzilla. Now, the game is titled Godzilla. If you couldn't get that concept correct, then your whole fucking game, whether it's good or bad in any other sense, will fall flat on its face. So, yes, they nailed what it's like to be Godzilla. Now, the controls, like I said, they're very awkward at first, but with enough time, you'll master them very quickly. Probably within 10 to 15 minutes, you'll get the hang of everything. You'll get the hang of, okay, you move forward with the analog stick, but you change your sense of direction with L1 and R1 to turn left or right. It does get easy to do. There is no lock on, which I agree is retarded, but if you press the circle button to unleash the atomic breath, Godzilla will automatically shoot it forward. But if you press up on the analog stick and circle at the same time, then Godzilla will shoot it up at the planes and the helicopters, jets, everything like that. The same thing with pressing down and circle on the D-pad. He'll aim at all the tanks and vehicles on the ground and the buildings that stand in your way. Now, what does it feel like to play every single match in this game or level? It does have a sense of unpredictability, though everything, yes, is the same. Destroying things, getting Godzilla bigger, and doing side objectives like destroying tanks, destroying buildings in a certain amount of time, things like that. But when you fight another kaiju, they start off in their beginning phases and they start to change and progress later in the game. Like, as you can see in my gameplay right here, my Godzilla is leveled up and gigantic, so he will just bully every other kaiju in the game. But what the game doesn't tell you is that you need to go down particular path lines in the game to unlock hidden encounters and the final boss of the game, who I didn't know was the final boss till I went through and reran a couple of rounds of going through this arcade ladder, was Destroya. And I didn't know Destroya was a villain in this game, was the main final villain. And you think you're going to get comfortable powering yourself up against all these other kaijus. No, I'll tell you what, Destroya really makes you feel like that one movie Godzilla vs. Destroya, where Godzilla lost in that movie. So, yeah, it does feel repetitive. I am not going to front you. It is very repetitive. But I think the sensation of feeling like Godzilla, the feeling that you get when you do defeat another monster, despite the overwhelming odds of the military forces, the level getting very much challenging. I will tell you that there is challenge to this game. It is not a cakewalk that people may have thought it was. Now, of course, if you go down the easy path line, then yes, it is a fucking cakewalk. No shit. But if you go down the harder path or the normal path, it does feel, at first, cheap, but it's only cheap because people don't take their time to level up and actually invest in a particular monster. Now, that's where I think more so where the game suffers, is that you have to play as a specific kaiju for a certain amount of time in order to level up. I think this game would have benefited more that if, regardless of whatever kaiju you played, that you built up evolution points, because that's what they're called in this game, evolution points, or certain evolution points for specific characters. I would say, yes, earn the specific points for the certain characters, but also let you build up separate evolution points that you can go to level up the different kaijus, so at least your kaiju feels unique to you. Now, graphically, no, this game does not look like a PS4 game or a PS5 game. This was a PS3 game from Japan ported over. And even for PS3 standards, these aren't good. Like, the backgrounds are nothing. But the one thing it does right, the graphics, is the visual art style of the different kaijus. They all do look really good, really faithful to their movie counterparts. I kind of wish that they would do a remaster of this game and add Kong, add newer versions, add the legendaries versions of kaijus, or titans as they're called. Have them in the game. Have at least do an actual good Godzilla game that everybody can enjoy. Or scratch that, gatekeep it and just let the fan make a good kaiju game for the fans, because yeah, I don't I'm the kind of person that's opposed to having normies take over and infect everything. But that's besides the point. This Godzilla game is rare for a reason, and going back and playing it, I'm like, you know what? This is a game that I could quite literally shoot up a live stream, shoot the shit and talk with all my audiences and talk with people while just going through levels, breaking shit, and beating up on other monsters. It's weird to say, but this Godzilla game it's a feel-good game. As odd as that sounds, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel, though people don't want to keep doing the same God of Destruction mode over and over again, or King of Kaiju mode, but I don't see really what the big problem is. Yes, to the common audiences, it's going to suck, but to Godzilla fans, it's a treasure. What do I think? It became a feel-good game for me. I could just pop it on, play, shoot the shit, then turn it off, and come back to it whenever I want. So, that's all I gotta say. Be sure to like, subscribe, favorite, and I'll see you all in the next video, everyone. So, take care, and see you later.